Well, hey everybody, here we are just 1 week before Christmas. Hope everybody's settling in, getting ready for the holidays. I just want to let you know that we are going to be doing this through the holidays on Mondays, and apologize that I haven't been able to do this over the last few weeks because it's been really crazy with the travel. I was in LA for the LA Auto Show, couldn't do it. The week after that, I had to be in Toronto to do some shooting in South Carolina. Then back in LA for a Volkswagen ride and drive, went to the Nissan Leaf ride and drive, then an event on Vancouver Island. So it's been 3 weeks on the road. So thanks to everybody that has been checking back to see what's going on. And hopefully that is going to be, we're going to be able to get lots of people checking in. All right, so we're getting the questions coming in. The first question comes in, and before we get into the questions, I have an announcement. I have a winner of all of the Stinger swag. That's right, we have the Stinger cloth that I got when I was on the launch. Also the Stinger binder, really nice embossed binder. The Stinger thumb drive that looks like the key, but it's actually a thumb drive. And I forgot when I made the announcement, beautiful Stinger pen. So all of that is going to Rick Byers, who lives in Gatineau, Quebec. I've just emailed Rick to let him know that he is indeed the winner, and we'll be getting that off to him. So the other thing I want to let you know is that we have another contest. I just came back from the Nissan Leaf, and they gave us as a parting gift the Amazon, this is the Echo Dot, where you say, Alexa, you know, it's like a virtual assistant. And also they have these really nice bound notepads. So I'll be giving this away. And now what you need to do is to go to my website to win the Amazon Echo Dot, or Echo Dot, yeah, that's right, is go to my website and fill out the entry form. So you go there to motormouth.ca, excuse me, and then in the contacts, this is contacts, you fill in the entry form. You'll see that in the upper right-hand corner of the website. Go to contacts, fill that out, and just put the Nissan Leaf contest in there, and somebody on the next broadcast will be getting that. So the winner of the Stinger stuff again is Rick Byers from Gatineau, Quebec. So get those in. All right, now we want to get into the questions. The first question is, what do you think overall the new Nissan Leaf is better than the Bolt? So there's the Nissan Leaf. The video is up on the YouTube channel. Check it out when you get a moment. Well, the Bolt is a much greater range. It's almost 400 kilometers of range. Excuse me, 383 kilometers of range. And I drove it in the spring of this year, and the weather was perfect. So I didn't really have to have the air conditioning on or the heat. I just used the vents and had the windows down, and I was able to get 400 plus kilometers of range. So that car in Canada starts at right around $42,000. If you want the fully loaded Premier version, it's going to be almost 50 grand for a Bolt. Conversely, the Leaf with 241 kilometers of range is right at $36,000. And if you go and watch the review, you'll find out more about it. But a couple of things to take away. It comes with standard heated seats, heated steering wheel, and heated rear seats on the base model, even for $36,000. So that's pretty nicely equipped. So that's one that you might want to consider. It really comes down to how much range do you really use every day. Most people aren't going to use the maximum, say, 400 kilometers of range in the Bolt. 241 with the Leaf will be fine. You also have to factor in driving in Canada. It's going to be less, or in cold states in the United States, your range will suffer. So factor it in. A lot of people are going to be overspending for range where they don't really need it. And most families will have probably a vehicle, gasoline vehicle that you can drive for longer road trips, say to grandma's house for Christmas. This one comes from Jason. What do you think of the Lexus IS 350 Sport? Please try and answer. I've asked every live video and you never pick my question. Well, you got yours in early. The IS 350 is, well, first of all, the IS family from Lexus is really now getting long in the tooth, meaning that it's at the end of the cycle. It really needs to be refreshed and come out with a new model. The nice thing is that a lot of the competitors are getting away from 6-cylinder engines, and you can still get that in the Lexus. The back seat is rather small. It's a Lexus, means it's got amazing quality, great resale value, all of these things. But even when you get the F Sport model, it isn't that sporty. So if you're wanting a sportier, compact, luxury premium car, then you would go to the usual suspects like BMW and Audi and maybe even Mercedes with the C-Class. The IS 350 F Sport is more of a styling execution, not so much a sporty car. So, you know, to jump into that car now, just as they're probably going to be coming up with something new, might be a little bit premature. Roy Park says, good to have you back. You've been gone for a while. As I mentioned, been on the road. I'm trying to stick to doing one a week, but I tell you, I did so much traveling in the last 5 weeks that when I got back on Thursday, I just was like out for a couple of days. How are Stingers doing in Canada right now after deliveries to dealerships in terms of sales? Well, Kia, for the very first time with the Stinger, did a pre-sale, meaning they allowed people to actually say, I want one, before even seeing or driving the car. And I think the deposit was pretty substantial. It was several $1,000s. So they had quite a few people who wanted that car right away. Their allotment is only 400 cars for the end of the year, so we're just 2 weeks now until the end of December. So those first batch of 400 will probably be sold, and then next year they're expecting to sell 2,000 plus for the Canadian market. So I think they'll do well. In previous question and answers, I talked about who I think is going to suffer from this. I think it's going to be Infiniti, and it's going to be Acura for their sort of entry-level premium cars. I think the Kia Stinger offers a much more compelling package than, say, the TLX. Even Lexus with that IS, you know, this is a car that is much bigger, all-wheel drive, more power. It's quite a compelling package. All right, Kenny says, oh, this thing's jumping around again. Kenny says, do hybrid vehicles use gasoline to warm up the engine? How about a plug-in hybrid? I'm looking at a new car, mainly city and short trips. Okay, this is a really good question. A typical hybrid like a Prius or a Highlander hybrid, yes, the hybrid system really only switches to the electric mode when the engine is fully heated, okay? Because the cabin is still needing the engine to create heat. Also, the gasoline engine needs to come on in order for the catalytic converter to start working efficiently. So every single car that is tested by the EPA in the United States has to go through what is called a shed test. So they start the car and they let it run for a set amount of time. It's a few minutes. And they capture all of the emissions in that shed and test it for all of the particulate. And it has to meet a certain standard. So in order for the pollution to be at a lower level, they have to heat the engine quickly. And that's what they need to do on any vehicle that has an internal combustion engine. You need to run the engine to get the catalytic converter, that's the main thing, warmed up in order to drop the pollution that comes out the tailpipe. Now, a plug-in hybrid is totally different. You can drive just on electric power. Many plug-in hybrids, the baseline is 50 kilometers of electric range. Some are 80, some maybe even a little bit more. And then after that, it switches to just the regular hybrid system. But you could, for most people who live in an area where they do very short commutes, would never have the gasoline engine come on. So that's one of the major advantages for going with a plug-in versus a regular hybrid. But regular hybrids are much cheaper, and they are very good on fuel. Kenny follows up and says, do non-plug-in hybrids have to warm up the engine? I don't believe so. The other thing about plug-ins is you can condition the car. So you don't have to have the gasoline engine on in order to heat the cabin. You can plug your car in with the app 30 minutes, 20 minutes before you leave. The electric heater comes on and keeps the car warm. The heated seats are on, the defroster's set, all of that. So that's one really nice thing about that. This is a good question. Ryan asks, I was thinking about buying a used Toyota 4Runner until I realized their resale value. Would you buy a used Jeep Grand Cherokee or a used 4Runner? Well, I always go back to, I call it the Bank of Toyota. I do some work for Canadian Black Book. CanadianBlackBook.com is an amazing resource for anybody, whether you're buying or selling, especially a used vehicle, to look up the value of that car in the used market. If you're trading a car in, you get an idea before you go to the dealer what it's worth in the marketplace. And they give out awards, and they will do it as early as the beginning of next year, announcing the winners of their Best Retained Value Awards. And Toyota wins every single year the most, and they have a special category for like the greatest resale value company, and it's Toyota. So yes, you're going to pay more for the 4Runner to buy it used in the marketplace, but you will also get that money back when you go to sell it years down the road. Will a Grand Cherokee hold the value the same as a 4Runner? Absolutely not. Now, the Grand Cherokee, in my opinion, is a wonderful, wonderful product. It's my favorite product from FCA, from Chrysler. I think it's a great machine. They're expensive, however. But yes, buying a used Toyota 4Runner takes a leap of faith because you're spending so much for a used product, but you get all of that money back when you go to sell it. All right. Mike C says, love the channel. Thanks very much. This one from Nakil says, Goria says, fan of your show. Corolla, Civic, or Mazda 3? Well, I put these cars into different categories. So if you just want to do a basic A to B car, transportation, Corolla fits in that category. If you want spirited, a little bit more fun, a driver-oriented car, then the Mazda 3 and the Civic definitely fall into that camp. Did I put the Corolla up there? Yeah, there's a picture of the Corolla. I put up some of the more recent ones. Just today, I published on the channel a Corolla review talking about the Toyota Safety Sense. And this is one of the things about Toyota that is really going to bring a lot of people to their brand, is they've made available on almost every single product, even a $16,000 base Corolla, their advanced safety system that's forward collision warning, autonomous braking, pedestrian detection, lane departure, automatic high beams, blah, 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 goes on and on and on a base Corolla. So that's one thing. Now, I would say Honda is number 2 with these advanced safety features, and they're bringing them down to lower and lower models. So if you're looking at a sort of a mid-tier Civic, it'll have that as well. But if you're a driver and you like to have fun, the Civic and the Mazda 3. If you're just looking for basic transportation, Corolla will do a great job. Motormouth rocks extremely hard. Love your show. Big fan. Keep up the work. Thank you very much, everybody, for the nice comments. And I just want to say, if you're just tuning in early and have to leave, I hope everybody has a great Christmas and a wonderful New Year, a safe and prosperous 2018. And yeah, be safe out there. This isn't the time to be getting behind the wheel of your car at Christmas time. I know some parts of the country still don't have Uber, which takes the pressure off of driving. But yeah, please be safe out there. This from Caldwell Banker, Horizon Realty, Manny Bar in Kelowna. Man, you got a long title there. Do you have a 2018 X3 review coming soon? Yeah, I got to find out from BMW when that new X3 is going to be in the press fleet here in Vancouver. I got a little story to. I'm going to be public about this. I've been test driving cars for 27 years, and I go on trips all over the world with other German manufacturers. So there's the Porsche Cayenne. Porsche took me to Crete in Greece about 2 months ago to drive that car, one of the first to drive it in the world. Amazing. I'm going to South Africa with Audi to drive the new Audi A7 in February. Amazing. Mercedes-Benz, same thing. I've been all over the world pretty much. Volkswagen, been to China, been to Europe, been to Australia. And I'm just saying this because that's what the other German manufacturers do. With BMW, I have been on one media event in 27 years. I have no idea why they run their business this way. I would love to get my hands on the BMW X3 when it first comes out, to go to the media launch wherever they had it somewhere in the world, so I can give the information to you. But their PR department is sorely lacking when it comes to invites to media outlets. I have the biggest YouTube channel in the country for Canadians. Can I get an invite to drive a BMW? No. I will, however, give them kudos. They do put a lot of cars available for us to drive, but you know, getting a chance to drive that car before it comes to the market would be a great advantage. This next one comes from, hey Zach, thanks for all the great videos. What's your choice, Subaru Outback or VW Sportwagon? This is interesting. The Outback is a wonderful product. Now, the big differentiator, two of them actually are going to be size. The Outback is bigger. The Sport Wagon is a little bit smaller. Outback uses a continuously variable transmission, and the Sport Wagon has either a regular automatic or the dual clutch. It really comes down to driving preference. The EyeSight from Subaru is available on lower trim levels. Just this year for 2018, the Sport Wagon now is available from Volkswagen in Canada with all-wheel drive, manual transmission with all-wheel drive, and their advanced safety system is available on the Comfort line and the High line, so it's available on the lower trims. So that makes it a compelling package. I encourage you to go and try them both. So it comes down to size, comes down to the transmission for me. So Golf Sport Wagon manual all-wheel drive, that's kind of a cool car. If you want the automatic, you're not getting a CVT with Volkswagen. What's your thoughts on the 2018 Jaguar F-Type 380 horsepower V6 best option? Now, I don't totally agree with that. I think the less powerful supercharged V6 is the sweet spot for the F-Type, because having a chance to drive them both, you really don't, in everyday driving situations, you don't notice the difference. And you're spending a massive premium to get the 380 horsepower version over the slightly less powerful, but same size supercharged 6-cylinder. So to me, it's 340, I believe, for the regular one, I think is the one to get. Now, I wish that a Jaguar Land Rover and Range Rover with their products in the new Velar, which my wife and I had a chance to test drive, and that video was killing it on YouTube. They have the 4-cylinder diesel as their base engine. Now, they have over on the Range Rover Sport side, the V6 turbo diesel with 444 pound-feet of torque, and it is a monster in the larger Range Rover Sport. If they would put that engine in the F-Pace, and they would also put it in the Velar, then that would be amazing. So I think that that would be the one to go. I just realized I'm reading this question again. He's saying F-Type, not F-Pace. Same thing. The F-Type with the slightly detuned supercharged 6-cylinder, I think, is the way to go. They charge quite a premium to get that extra horsepower, and in everyday drivability, it's not worth it. Now, for F-Type, if you can afford the R with the V8, that is a fantastic motor. So I apologize for mixing up my F-Types and my F-Paces. Hey, Zach, Kia Optima Turbo was in the dealership for 2 weeks while I was gone. My loaner was a Kia Sedona. The only thing I hate is the delay of power. Not a fan of the 3.3 liter V6. I like that engine. That 3.3 liter V6 is fantastic. And that's the same engine they're putting in the Stinger. I don't have a picture of the Stinger here, but the Stinger has the 3.3 liter, but twin turbocharged. So yeah, it comes down to what you're used to. What I find with any car, after you drive it for 2 weeks, you kind of get used to it. So you got to put a little more throttle in to get off the line. Well, you do that. You get used to it. This one comes from Dag. He says, your channel is better than Doug DeMuro. Well, I got to tell you, this guy is one that I absolutely scratch my head. I have no reason to believe why this guy will put out a video and it gets like 1 or 2 million views in like a week. I don't get it. Everybody else that puts out auto reviews online struggles to get, you know, a couple of 100,000 views, and this guy can get 1 million views in a week. I don't know. Is he buying views? I'm not accusing him of that. I'm just saying, what's the deal? Here's a question. Is a used Audi A7 TDI a good buy? My understanding is there's currently no fix in the Canadian vehicle yet. Oh, here's the interesting thing. I have an Audi A7 TDI, and I'm looking to move out of this car. So if you're really interested in buying one, let me know, because mine will be going maybe even as soon as a month from now. There will be a fix for the 3-liter diesels. It's been approved by the EPA in the United States. It's been approved there, and it will be approved here in Canada. It's only a matter of time until those vehicles are starting to go into dealerships and will be repaired to be sold. So here's the thing. The reason I believe that it hasn't officially been announced in the Canadian market yet is because the last court settlement for Volkswagen in North America is going to be the 3-liter TDI settlement in Canada. It has been done in the US, it has not been done in Canada. The 2-liter has been done in the US, the 2-liter has been done in Canada. It's just the 3 liters in Canada have not had the official settlement and a court date set. So I'm guessing that that is all going to come at the same time. But an approved fix has been made for the 3-liter TDIs. And if you want an A7, send me an email. Or if anybody you know wants an A7 TDI, let me know, because I'm going to be letting mine go here shortly. You'll have to stay tuned to find out what I get. That is going to be interesting. Hey, Zach, which one looks better, the Chevy Volt or the Chevy Bolt? It's kind of like, neither of them I think is fantastic. I preferred the first generation of the Bolt. I thought that was a cool looking car, very kind of, it was really different. The Volt looks like a Honda Fit to me. Practical, not that great looking. The new Volt to me looks like a Chevy Cruze. I kind of like the older one. Paul plays Minecraft. Merry Christmas. Thank you very much. All right, I got to find this where I was again. Hello from Florida. Hey, nice work down there. You know, it's interesting. We were down in South Carolina a week or so ago for Infinity, and we're at the Charleston airport, and there was delays out of Atlanta because of snow in Atlanta. Crazy. All right, I got to find where I left off here. All right, I think I found it here. This is another TDI question. I'm considering having my TDI bought back by Volkswagen. Are there any hybrid cars that benefit from highway driving or are mostly beneficial for city driving? Thanks. It really is mostly a city driving phenomenon. Now, the new batch of hybrids, not so much from Toyota, but other manufacturers that have a dual clutch system that can let the vehicle coast on the highway at light speeds. Those ones are really the best. If you really want to get the best mileage and a hybrid, probably the best way to go is to get a plug-in hybrid. So for the first 30, 40, 50 kilometers of your drive will be purely electric, and then you switch back to the efficient hybrid system, sort of like an Audi A3 e-tron or some other products like the Volt is a perfect example, will give you the best of both worlds. And when you average out your fuel used, the gasoline used, over your average commute, it's going to be very, very low. So it gives you the electrification that you maybe want, and then the long range capability to go, several hundred kilometers without having to plug in. I just want to let you know once again that we have a winner. What's the name again? The winner is Rick Byers. Rick Byers of Gatineau. Rick gets the Stinger folder, the Stinger glass cleaner, the Stinger. This is a USB thumb drive that looks like the keychain, and I forgot to mention it before, but the Stinger pen, which is very nice quality. So all of that is going to him. And the next contest, if you go to the website motormouth.ca and you go to the contact tab and fill in the information here and put in there Nissan Leaf contest. I was given this Amazon Echo Dot when I was at the Nissan Leaf program earlier last week, and a really nice Leaf binder with Leaf embossed on there. So both of those are going to go to the winner for next week. So please get those in. All right, back to the questions. What do you think of the Hyundai Elantra GT? This is from Paul's Plays Minecraft. I liked the Hyundai Elantra GT sedan. I didn't like the Hyundai Elantra GT hatchback, the Sport, I think it's called. Different car. One is based on the regular Elantra we get here in North America, and the other is based on the i30 car that's sold in Europe. And you think the European one would be more fun to drive? No. No, 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 no. The Elantra GT sedan was fantastic. Simon says, did you have a chance to drive the new Honda Clarity? There was an event last week in Arizona. Unfortunately, I was busy doing other shoots. There were literally, there were 7 car events last week, and I could only go to 3 of them. Unfortunately, I didn't get to Clarity. But I think the range on the Clarity is 80 kilometers. Now that car, the pricing of that car has come out. And if you look at the rebates you can get in Ontario, Quebec, and here in British Columbia, that's going to be a very compelling package. So the only problem with the Clarity, it looks like a frog. Man, it's not a good looking vehicle. Zach, when do you expect the new Infiniti QX60? Do you think it will be completely new or just a facelift? What would you name as an alternative for that price point? Now, here's the thing. The QX60 is the Infiniti version of the Pathfinder. I truly believe that the Pathfinder is a better product for the price. Like, they're the same product. One has an Infiniti badge and the other one has a Nissan badge. And I don't really like this platform sharing they do at Infiniti and Nissan. I just think that, like, the Armada and the QX80, the vehicle, I'm going to have a video for it in a day or so, it's the same. It has, maybe doesn't have the adaptive suspension, but man, considering the price difference. Now, in that 55 to 60,000 price range, there are so many 3-row crossover vehicles now. The Atlas is the biggest, I think. If you're going non-luxury, the Highlander is a great product. There's so many out there. But if you want, you know, get the Pathfinder. This comes from Dag. Hey, Zach, I always wanted to know which is the best for long road trips. Ottawa to Edmonton. Man, your butt would get sore driving that. Manual or automatic? Please answer my question. Well, if you're driving that far on the highway, it doesn't matter if it's manual or automatic. You're going to be in, you know, 5th or 6th gear or 4th gear, just cruising along. It doesn't really matter. What matters is the seat that you're sitting in. There's nothing worse than an uncomfortable seat. Next question. Love your channel. Thank you. This is from Chow. Macan 2-liter turbo 4-cylinder or Audi SQ5 fully loaded? Well, this is really a question. The Macan turbo, it would be a better comparison if you're going to go Macan base model turbo versus Audi Q5, okay? Because the Q5 and the Macan base model use the same engine. It's an Audi engine, 241 horsepower. No, it's more than 252 horsepower. When you go to the SQ5, now you're looking at their turbocharged 6-cylinder with 354 horsepower. So if you're looking at just power, yes, you're going to be better off getting the Audi. But if you're talking about badge appeal, money, what people think about you, a Porsche is a Porsche. Come on. But yes, it would probably be, the logical answer would be SQ5. Any plans to review an Alpha Giulia? This is from Nick. Same thing with BMW. I live in Vancouver. I have Alphas been for sale for a couple of years. Do you think we can get an Alpha to drive? I email them, hey, any Alphas to drive? Nothing. They're sending that SUV in a month or so, but no. They want to sell cars, but they don't give you cars to drive. So that's out there. When I get a Giulia, I will drive it. Don't worry about that. Actually, my neighbor's father has one. He's offered to let me drive it, but he lives over on Vancouver Island. Hey, Zach, love your channel. Any chance doing a review of your own vehicles? On the channel, if you type up Audi A7, you will find a review of our car. So it's there. You know what? I didn't ever do a review of my Porsche that I got rid of in the summer, last summer. My air-cooled 993. I should have probably done that. Mackie G says, Kia's new Optima versus 2018 Camry for reliability. I've heard Kias have reliability issues, but JD Power is saying that they are getting better. What do you think? Okay, there's a couple of things here. Kia has now been #1 in initial quality from JD Power for 2 years in a row, okay? That is an amazing accomplishment from a brand that is not even 20 years old here in the Canadian marketplace. And who's #2? Hyundai. So, I mean, they're doing something right. Now that's initial quality. That's for issues with brand new cars in the first 90 days of ownership. When you shift that to the 3-year J.D. Power dependability study, they have definitely moved up. But I call it, once again, the Bank of Toyota. The Camry is a great car. 2.5-liter 4-cylinder, 8-speed automatic, or you get the 3.5-liter V6 with the 8-speed automatic. This new one is so much better. It's much more refined. Big omissions are no heated rear seat, no heated steering wheel, no Android Auto or Apple CarPlay. That is a big deal. You can get all of that in the Optima, and you can get all of that in the Honda Accord. So these are things that Toyota's going to have to rectify. If they're not deal breakers for you, the smart money is on the Camry. And the drivability of that new Camry is vastly improved. It's not the old pokey grandpa car. It actually is a rewarding car to drive. Have you ever driven a Honda Prelude? What modern vehicle would you compare it to the most? If not, what is the most fun compact car on the market today? I got to tell you, when I first started reviewing cars back in 1992, that's how long I've been doing this, I can vividly remember going to the Honda zone office here in Vancouver and getting a Prelude, and they had a mug. I wish I had it. It had when you put hot coffee or tea or whatever in it, the Honda went away, and then the image of the Prelude showed up. I should have kept it. Probably be valuable. Somebody pay for that now. Prelude is a fun car. Here's the thing: is that everybody has gotten out of coupes. There are really no coupes available anymore. I'd have to think about it for a second. Like, Mustang is a hell of a car to drive. You can get probably the car that I would get would be the Civic manual transmission. That's probably the closest comparison we have today. And it's a Honda as well. But yeah, the Prelude was a fun car. The Celica's gone. There's so many cool cars we used to have, and they're all gone. Remember the Del Sol, the Honda Del Sol? Gone. This one comes from Bryce Campbell. Why have wagons, estate cars not caught on in North America like Europe? A big part of the reason is when you go to Europe is the roads in most major cities are much smaller, much narrower, because the core of the cities were developed long before the automobile. In North America, our cities developed around the automobile. So roads are much bigger. Parking is an issue, and that's one of the main reasons. But when you go to Europe, you're starting to see the shift happen there as well. People are moving away from the estates, and slowly, you're starting to see more utility vehicles creep into the marketplace. So these kind of halfway measures, cars, are they really station wagons? Are they really crossover vehicles? You're starting to see that happen. But I love a station wagon. I had a 5 Series BMW station wagon years ago. I absolutely loved it. One of the best cars I ever had. My wife, however, didn't want to be caught dead in it. And it really comes down to women. Women don't like station wagons, and we all know who makes the decisions. Your wife or girlfriend. Let's go through. Are you supposed to hear a whine if you start your car in cold and it's equipped? My turbo Optima does, but not my 11 Saab. So typically when you're hearing that sort of squealing noise, it's the belts, and you can go and typically get them lubricated. One might not be aligned, a pulley, what have you, but it's usually, no, it's not going to hurt your car. It's just an annoying sound. What can you say about the Mitsubishi Outlander plug-in hybrid electric vehicle? Well, the first thing I'll tell you about the Mitsubishi Outlander PHEV, it's a terrible name. Like, what do you drive? I drive a Mitsubishi Outlander PHEV. It sounds like a disease. But I have driven it in Japan last year, and they are having a launch here in British Columbia next month, the 3rd week in January. It is the best. Now, this is something I think that a lot of people will find interesting. The best-selling electric or plug-in electric utility vehicle in the world goes to a small car company called Mitsubishi. They sell just over 1 million cars a year worldwide. Now, in the last year, Mitsubishi has joined and been taken over by Nissan Renault. It's now Nissan Renault Mitsubishi Alliance. And with this new alliance, Mitsubishi is now part of the biggest car company in the world. So it used to be Volkswagen Group and Toyota and General Motors were all kind of the top three, and depending on which month it was, who was selling the most cars. Now here comes Nissan, Renault, Mitsubishi, boom, there they have the largest footprint in the world. And so the plug-in hybrid electric vehicle, the Outlander, was developed purely by Mitsubishi before this alliance. So there's no sort of crossover, pardon the pun, between, say, the electric system that is used by Nissan in like the new Leaf, for example, and this vehicle. It's totally made by Mitsubishi. I got a chance to go to the factory, got a chance to go in and see how they actually put the cells together for the battery packs. It is coming to Canada. It is going to qualify for rebates across the country. It's the best-selling electric utility in the world, and I think it's going to be, it's going to do very, very well. They're going to give a big push to this as well. But this could be one of just the last few true Mitsubishi products before they move into this alliance, and you're going to have, you know, vehicles sharing, platform sharing between Nissan, Renault, and Mitsubishi in the years after 2020. Better resale after 2 to 3 years, Mazda CX-5, Subaru Crosstrek. The winner goes to Crosstrek. And I know this because I help do videos for Canadian Black Book about the vehicles with the best retained value. And in that category, Crosstrek is the winner. So there you go, if you're buying based on that. VW sells the Arteon with a DSG in Europe, but when it comes to North America, they are going with a traditional 8-speed auto. Any idea why? The trend is away from dual clutches. Everybody was hot on dual clutches for like the last 5 to 10 years, depending on which brand, because there was only a few brands had it. Say Volkswagen Group, you know, Volkswagen, Audi, and Porsche had dual clutches, and then everybody else came into the market. The reality is, what has happened is the consumers don't exactly love them. And I would almost bet that there's probably been a little bit more maintenance and warranty work around them. So North Americans with stop and go traffic, the trend is back to automatics. And I think that's all it comes down to, is that we like that sort of more cushy ride. As much as we say we like sporty cars, traditional North American tastes are just softer and smoother. And I think that's what they're doing, tailoring it to the North American market. Greg asks, he says, or makes a statement, how can Toyota and Lexus compete when they refuse to integrate Android Auto and Apple CarPlay in their head units? It's one of the first things I look for in a car. I'll tell you what it comes down to: age, okay? If you're over a certain age, it's not important. If you're under a certain age, it is important. Now, here's a little quiz for you. What do you think is the average age of a car buyer in Canada? Think about that for a second. What do you think is the average age of a car buyer in North America or in Canada? Is it 25? Is it 32? Is it 74? It's actually very close to 50 years old, 47 years old. So those buyers are not as hung up on that as younger buyers. Now, there's a lot of pressure from people like me. When I'm at a Toyota or Lexus event, I say, when is this coming? When is this coming? And the executives at Toyota and Lexus Canada say they hear this and they do have the ability to fit it into their cars in the future. However, they have decided not to. But if it becomes a major differentiator and it starts to affect sales, and they do find that people aren't buying their cars based on this, then I think they're going to have to be putting it into their vehicles. Mario says, have you driven the Nürburgring? No, I haven't. That's one I've been asking to go and do with one of the car companies. So maybe one day. I gotta tell you, I'd be crapping my pants the first time I went on the Nürburgring. I watch all those videos just like you do, and I'm like, it's crazy. You know what? I have a great story to tell you about the Nürburgring. I was at the Porsche, not the Cayenne, where were we? It was the Panamera launch in South Africa. And the great thing about Porsche is they have the coolest people there. Walter Roll, famous rally driver, and Hans Joachim Stuck, who is a fabulous sports car driver. And there's a great video of Hans Stuck driving an M3 Cup race car around the Nürburgring. And it's older. It's probably from the late 90s, I think. Watch that video. You want to see a master class on how to drive fast? Watch that. It's not HD, but you'll get the idea. And I don't know how many times I've watched that. So I go to this Porsche event and I sit down, and guess who's sitting right next to me? Hans Stuck. So I start talking to Hans and I say to him, you know, Hans, I love that video, you know, the one of you driving the M3 about down around the Nürburgring. And he's a very charismatic guy, and he has this really cute affectation the way he talks. He goes, oh yeah, this was a good one, yeah? We were going out for tire testing, yeah? And we wanted to scrub in tires for the next day, yeah? For the race, yeah? And then there was no traffic, yeah? So I just went for it, yeah? Just went for it. And he's just such a cool guy. So here's an interesting thing I said to him. Now, Hans, you know, no disrespect to you. I've watched that video of you, and you're an epic race car driver, but Walter Roll, world rally champion, rally driver. I said, you know, in my opinion, no disrespect to you, but those world rally drivers, they're at a whole different level. And he says, I totally agree. He says, Walter Roll is on a different planet. You can take the best driver, road circuit driver, and then, but you give a rally driver a car, that's amazing. And I had a chance to go to the WRC last year in Australia, and unbelievable to see what those guys can do. But anyway, what was the question? I've forgotten. I just thought I'd tell you that because it's, oh, the Nürburgring. Yes. So one day, maybe Hans Stuck will take me around. I would do that. I hate sitting in the passenger seat, but if he was driving or Walter Roll was driving, I would do that. Hey, this is an interesting one from Ben Sousey. Says, Golf R, is it worth the extra cost over the GTI? The financing rates are much higher, making the price gap worse from an overall cost to buy. A problem is finding an R to test drive is impossible. Guess what I have parked outside my house? I picked it up today, a purple Volkswagen Golf R. So you'll see it in a video in the next couple of weeks. I have it over the holidays for 2 weeks, so I'm not in a rush to do the video, but towards the end of the holidays, that will be coming out. Now, I have driven the Golf R, I have driven the GTI, I've driven the Golf R on the track, Calabogie near Ottawa, and I gotta tell you, it depends on where you live. If for me in Vancouver, I would get a GTI. It's lighter, and for me, it's more fun. The Golf R is more composed, it's more polished, it's more upscale, it's got the all-wheel drive and more horsepower, but I think the GTI is more fun. I really do, but watch for the video. And why does the Golf R have no sunroof? I think they just basically cost. They wanted to keep the cost down. Hey, Zach, what's it like to work with Lacey? Well, I did a shoot with Lacey this morning. It's great working with Lacey. I got to tell you, Lacey is one of the most positive people you could meet. She's great to work with. Any thoughts on crossovers, the GLC Coupe, F-Pace, or Q5? Well, I would say my top two picks right now are the Q5 and the GLC from Mercedes-Benz. F-Pace is good. It's not in the same category when it comes to interior materials. All right. My friend is letting me use the 2011 Saab 94X Aero when I go to North Carolina for Christmas. I'm letting them use my 9.5 Aero. Pretty cool. That's rare company to be in a Saab, I tell you. I'm curious to know your views on the future of the Mazda Skyactiv X engine. What do you think of the tech as well as the durability of it? I'll have to reserve, I'm just reading the questions out, so I'm reading them for the first time as you. No comment on that just now. It's sad that Infiniti doesn't sell the QX80 and that the QX60 are the best Infinitis that I've seen. The QX80, they do sell the QX80. I don't know what you're talking about. Does Porsche Canada still offer European delivery? Somebody mentioned that they maybe were stopping that. I don't believe so. Call a dealer and find out. Go to the website. That's the coolest thing. So if you're, say, it depends on which car you're getting. So if you were getting a Cayenne, you would pick the car up in Leipzig. That's where they make the car. They have a track there, and they have a presentation center. The cool thing would be to get the box that came in or a 911 and go to the factory in Stuttgart and go to the museum, which is first rate. I was talking to somebody about this on the weekend, and he's ordering a Carrera GTS. the 450 horsepower last year of this current model of 911. And I said, you know, his wife's got a new Boxster. I said, you have to go to the museum in Stuttgart and go to the factory. So when you buy a Porsche, typically, this is the question, you have to follow up the dealer. You buy the car, but you take delivery of it in Europe. So for example, you were getting a 911, you'd go to Stuttgart, you would get the car there, you go to the museum, go to the factory, here are the keys to your new car, you drive around for a couple of weeks, you drop the vehicle off at the port, and they ship it back to Canada, but it's your very own car. So that is a very cool thing to do. Other European brands do this as well. This one comes from Shin. Hey Zach, following you since my high school years, watching you on DTV. I'm feeling old. We're in our 15th or 16th season for the TV show. What are your thoughts on the Subaru Forester? Shopping for a new car this summer. Excellent product. I think the Forester is an excellent product. The Forester, I believe, is getting a facelift this coming year. So if you're not in a rush, there will be some updates to that product. So here's another thing. Amazing resale value on the Forester. It really is a wonderful product, great outward visibility. The interior is a bit Spartan for my taste, but that's probably one thing they're going to be working on. So stay tuned for that. This one comes from SPTH38. I'm going to move to Vancouver soon. What do you think of the Subaru Outback? Do you think the 2.5 liter engine is sufficient for roads in Vancouver? Yes, for the roads in Vancouver. If you're doing a lot of driving through the mountains, maybe the larger engine, but reality is it'll be just fine. What's your favorite city in Canada? My favorite city in Canada is Vancouver. That's where I live. My favorite city in Vancouver to visit is Montreal. I love Quebec City. I love going to Toronto to visit my family. That's where I grew up. Vancouver is great. I would say Newfoundland. People ask me all the time. We travel all the time. Favorite places in Canada? Number one would be Newfoundland. Just spectacularly gorgeous and a great place to visit. The other is Yukon Territory, way up north. I just did a winter tire test that's on the channel, and we got to go to the Yukon. It is spectacularly beautiful up there for scenery, not so much for city, but yeah, Montreal is great. I don't think I could live in Montreal with the politics of Quebec, and the language thing for me would be an issue because I don't speak French, but I love going to Montreal. This one comes from Dakar Dawood. Hey Zach, I'm trading my 2013 Cayenne GTS with a 2010 911 Turbo Cabriolet, I guess in for a 2011 Turbo Cabrio, 40,000 kilometers, super clean. Nice. Turbo Cab, that's a cool car. Do you recommend inspection by Porsche or certified Porsche service? Do you recommend inspection? If you're buying an almost 8-year-old 911 Turbo, hell yeah, you got to get it inspected. And don't get it inspected by a dealer that's owned by the same company. So for example, you take, let's say it's in Toronto. Say you're looking at a Turbo 911 cab and it's from Pfaff, then you want to send it to downtown, the Porsche dealer downtown, I don't know the name of it, in Toronto, and then get them to inspect it, or a Porsche specialist. You're not going to spend that kind of money on that kind of car and not get it inspected. This is the same for any used vehicle. Get it inspected. Perfect example. A friend of mine bought a Boxster. It was 3 years old. It looked really good, low kilometers, all that kind of stuff. He bought the car. 6 months later, he's buying a whole brand new set of tires for a few $1,000s. I said, well, why didn't you get the car inspected? You would have found that out right away and needed new tires. You could have looked at them and then done a deal saying, get me new tires and work out the price. So these are things you need to get checked out. This one says, hey Zach, love your reviews and energy and your general wish to help people with knowledgeable answers. My question is between Mercedes CLA and the A3, which is better in terms of comfort? CLA is the coupe-like sedan, the base sort of entry-level, sort of sporty-looking sedan for Mercedes-Benz. The Audi A3 is basically a Golf, okay? Now, in terms of comfort, I would give the edge to the A3. Now, if you're not totally sold on an A3 or a CLA, back to the Volkswagen Golf R. So you can get the high-performance Volkswagen Golf R for relatively close to what you would pay for a base model A3. So it's worth checking out, and that is very comfortable. So that's something to consider. When it comes to tires, do car manufacturers look for the best deal with the tire manufacturer? No. So when car manufacturers are making cars, we'll pick Corolla, right? A Toyota Corolla in the Cambridge factory just outside of Toronto will make 300,000 cars in 1 year, okay? 300,000 cars times 4. Okay, that's 1.2 million tires that need to come in the back door to go on and for them to deliver the car. They cannot be burdened with just one tire supplier, because if there's any stoppage in the tires coming to the factory and holding up production of the car, that's a problem. So car companies often have 2 or 3 different suppliers of tires for their cars to keep the flow of production going. Now, there are exceptions, typically for lower volume cars, higher spec cars. For example, back to Porsche. Porsche, if you look on a tire on the side of a brand new Porsche, it has one letter that is very different from every other tire. It has P. Okay, and P means it's speed tested and rated and developed with Porsche for that car. And a lot of people don't realize that when they go to get replacement tires for their Porsche, they don't buy P rated tires. So those tires are very specific to that car. But even then, they might have tires, for example, for their utility vehicles. They might have Continental as a tire supplier and Michelin as a tire supplier. So you don't exactly know what you're going to get. This one comes and says, do you think Fiat Chrysler will finally discontinue the 2.4 since they have the 2-liter turbo? I extremely hate the 2.4-liter. I don't know what their cadence is with engines, but I think that the 2 liters are going to be more of a replacement for 6 cylinders. So cars that have the 6-cylinder engines will probably get the 2-liter turbo, and the 2.4 will probably be replaced by the 1.4 turbo. That's my guess. Which would you choose, BMW X3 or Audi Q5? Right now I say Q5. I haven't driven the brand new X3, but I plan on getting my hands on it. How do you compare the the brand new Porsche Cayenne compared to the Range Rover Velar? They're both beautiful. They're both the latest and the newest. For me, it comes down to quality and resale value. And I think the Porsche hands down. And they've earned it. Like, yeah, Range Rover and Land Rover can come out with a new Velar and be the hot new pretty girl on the street. But you have to earn that reputation over a long period of time of quality and reliability and durability and resale value. And Porsche with the Cayenne has earned it. Those cars hold their value. They are very well made, and so that's the answer. All right, this one is a tough one. And Andrew asks, hey Zach, best new car in Canada under $27,000, Volkswagen Golf, Honda Civic, Impreza. I get asked this all the time. And for me, and I've said this for the last few years, I think the best deal right now in the marketplace, there are some great products out there, don't get me wrong. 170 horsepower, turbo, 4-cylinder engine, independent rear suspension, 8-inch head unit, Android Auto, Apple CarPlay, and it starts at around $19,000. For me, the Volkswagen Golf is a car that kind of ticks a lot of boxes. Now, you can get the price up really quickly, so under $27,000, but that car, and it runs on regular gas, and it has 200 pound-feet of torque. You start to look at the competitors with 170 horsepower and 200 pound-feet of torque that run on regular gas, the list is going to get down to the Volkswagen Golf. And so that's why I like that car. What are your thoughts on the new Silverado? So yeah, for those that aren't aware, they had the 100th anniversary of Chevrolet in Texas. I was invited to that. I couldn't go. There were 7 events last week, 7 of them. And when all the journalists and everybody was there to celebrate the 100th year of Chevrolet, they flew in on a helicopter the new next generation Silverado. Not heavy on details yet. This is going to be a composite vehicle using high-strength steel. using some parts of aluminum and carbon. The bed is going to be made out of carbon. So, and it shot the stock price of General Motors up today. So it's interesting to see. So Detroit Auto Show is coming up in a month. I will be at the Detroit show, and that's when they're going to come with more details. So I reserve judgment till then, but it's going to be very exciting. Hey, Andrew says, hello from Newfoundland. Love Newfoundland. And you want to go and have a fun night, go to Newfoundland. You might not remember much the next morning, but you will have a good time. You go and kiss the cod and get screeched in. And Andrew, what's the name of there's this little sort of alley street where all the bars are? I'm telling you something, that is a good time. Will you be at the 2018 Toronto Auto Show? Not confirmed 100%, but it's looking like I will. Is the Range Rover Velar a good investment? I would say this is a great opportunity to lease, because the residual values are going to be quite good for this new car because it's a brand new product. So you're guaranteed what the price is going to be 3-4 years down the road when your lease is done. So that's the way to do it, to get a guaranteed residual value. But in the long run, who's going to know? Hey, Zach, new Tiguan or new CRV? CRV is a better all-rounder. Tiguan, as you know, has the option to get the third row of seats. So that's a good one. George Street. Thanks, Andrew. George Street in St. John's. That's where you go to have a good time. We are getting down towards the end here, so thanks to everybody that got in. Somebody says, I think Land Rover are way overvalued. Why go there when you have Porsche and Mercedes? You know, it's so true. And this is the problem that brands have, is getting people away from products that are so respected and well known in the marketplace. So we've kind of run up against all of the, I didn't get everybody in, but we had a really good kick at the can here. Once again, before I go, don't forget to go to my website, motormouth.ca, click on the contact tab and fill it out and put in there Nissan Leaf contest, because I was given this, this Amazon Echo Dot from Nissan when I drove the car last week, along with a binder. So that's going to be going out, and we have our winner for the Stinger. So thanks to everybody that tuned in. So next week is Christmas. Geez, how am I going to do this? I usually do it on Monday. I'll do it on the 26th. For those who are watching in the States, that's called Boxing Day here in Canada. So Boxing Day. I'll do it on Boxing Day. Tell you what I got for Christmas. And hopefully you have a great Christmas and Hanukkah, whatever you're celebrating. Wonderful time with your family. Please don't drink and drive. I know it sounds cliche, but it really is a stupid thing to do at this time of the year, or any time of the year. That's what taxis and Uber are for. Take transit. So I'll speak to you next week. Have a great holiday, and Merry Christmas.